Hey everyone, and welcome to another video from the Parrott Bros. We are here tonight in the unit. Well, I say tonight, today. It doesn't matter because it's not the day you're watching it. And we're doing some work on the Roadster. There's a few jobs I needed to do before we send it for any mapping, before we do any work on it. I need to have a check of everything because I've not had it up in the air. I wanted to have a look at the front and rear suspension. I wanted to have a look underneath at the subframes, make sure they're all good, check all the brake pipes, all that sort of pre-MOT checks that we've done in previous videos. I'm going to do some undersealing, I'm going to polish the headlights, and I thought you may as well join me for the journey, have a look, see what it's like. And for those who have never seen a two-wheel drive TT, you can see what the rear setup looks like. It is weird. I got underneath and was like, oh yeah, there's only a diff at the front. Well, this will make my life a lot quicker anyway, and it's a lot easier to do the undersealing. But before we get stuck into any graft, let's jump to that intro. Okay, so let's start with the rear suspension. Now, I had a bit of trouble getting the wheels off. I actually have my rubber mallet out of shot because I had to beat this thing off. Recommend when doing that, always use your wheel extender. If there's a plastic one in the boot, I recommend buying the metal one because if you break the plastic one, then you've got to try and get the thread out of there, which would be a bit of a nightmare. Always leave one wheel bolt on and basically just spin it and just hit the inner edge of the tyre and wheel. That got that off. So we need to clean the face of this and put a little bit of grease on it just so it doesn't get rusty again. And all I'm going to do is just clean all the loose dirt off of this because it's actually in very nice condition. Check my springs, check the suspension for leaking. Seems to be very good. If you do have to replace these, very cheap, so not too bad. But springs are quite a bit smaller, thinner wire than the 225, so definitely worth checking because they could break and cause you MOT issues. Very easy to change. So from that perspective, very, very simple. And there is just a rear axle. Just check the bushes in here, make sure there's no obvious wear and plate. I'll show you a bit closer in a minute. And all I'm going to do is just take all this dirt off with I've got a wire brush and a cloth just to wipe all the excess dirt off, and then we'll underseal this. I've got a bag to go over here once I've cleaned the face, just so we don't get anything on any moving parts, because the last thing you want to do is put underseal or wax on your discs or on your brakes, because then they won't operate as well and it's very dangerous. So let me grab some bits and then I'll come back to you and we'll do some cleaning. This is quite often what I see when removing wheels. It's quite corroded because someone hasn't given it a clean up when they've swapped the wheels have been on there for many, many years, or for whatever reason. And the problem is if you break down at the side of the road, you've got that windy jack, you're not going to have a 14-pound rubber mallet and you're not going to be able to beat the hell out of it. So you'll be laying underneath it. It's probably going to be raining if you've got a puncher, because that's always the way. And you're going to be under there trying to kick this thing off. Absolute nightmare. So when cleaning these, you can do it with one of two things. I always opt for the power option where possible. Make sure you wear your PPE. Grinding disc with the wire wheel on or a wire brush. And you just want to clean the face of it. But that takes ages. So use this nice and carefully. Make sure you wear your eye protection. And as you can see, we've got that back to that raw metal again, nice and clean all the way around, especially on the spigot here, because this also goes into the wheel and the wheel sits on that really tightly. So I'll finish this off, and then what we'll do is apply a small amount of grease, and then that will allow your wheels to go on and off like a dream in the future. Also do the back of the wheel just lightly, because you don't want to take any material off, you just want to clean off that rust, because the aluminium wheels still hub, that's why you get that corrosion. Next we're going to bag this over, because we want to do some cleaning. So get one of your 30p bags for life, and you just want to cover up any moving parts. You don't need to go too mad, but just try and make sure you've covered up the disc and the caliper, like so. And then get either, depending on how bad it is, you want to get yourself a wire brush or a reasonably sort of firm brush. This one isn't actually particularly rusty, it's more mud. I've got some brake cleaner, or you can use some all-purpose cleaner depending on what kind of dirt it is, and just give it a good spritz all over. And then just use your brush to agitate it, and then most of the dirt will come off and it will just show you what you've got left. That just gives you a nice prepped surface before doing what we're going to be doing next. If you want to do this to the next level, you can remove this cover and do all up inside the wheel arches. I'm happy with what I've seen, that it's not going to be too bad up there, so I'm not going to bother. Right, so once you're happy that that's nice and clean, also do on the inside and the underneath as well. Make sure there's nothing obvious out. We'll give it a spray up and then we will move on, and I can show you because I've already done some of it, so a little bit headier. Right, so we've got everything covered that we need to be covered. I would recommend, if you've got a nice driveway, covering that, because this is quite messy. You get used to it and you get better at it, but it is still quite messy. Always do a test spray first if you haven't used it. And you're basically painting everything that's metal. Maybe hit it from a couple of angles. Make sure you get all in there. And the finish, this, honestly, for how easy this is, the finish this gives is phenomenal. If you ever have to come and change anything, you might curse yourself a little bit because you're going to get black hands, but it shouldn't be rusting, that's for sure. And you give yourself a bit of longevity. Right. There is a couple of options in regards to, if on bolt holes and stuff like that, you can use the thicker one. Be careful when stirring this, because I stirred half of it out of the tub earlier because it was quite gloopy and then there was a really wet bit. And what you can do is I use this to just sort of level out the coating. If you've sprayed a bit too much in certain places, you've missed certain bits, any drips or anything like that. And just sort of level it out. It will dry nice, you won't get any brush marks. It goes on super easy. And this is good for anything that's going to be sort of really going to get a beating. It's slightly thicker, so it's best for things like springs, nuts, anything on the underside, getting into those nooks and crannies that maybe the spray can't. Around the bolt holes, bolt heads, on the threads, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's just great for leveling the coating, because if you get a bit carried away, you'll end up with a load of it down your driveway. And it just makes a lovely job. Right, that's all good. Let me show you what it looks like under here now I've done the whole rear, because I've already started on the other side, and you can see what it looks like now. Okay, so now we've got the underside of a non-Quattro TT. Look at that exhaust, so weird. But yeah, like I said, it's just got that rear axle beam and there is very little else. Everything is kind of different, like the fact that it's got this giant deeper spare wheel well, because obviously it doesn't have space for an exhaust this side, so you couldn't put a twin exhaust on even if you wanted to, because that is well and truly in the way. But really, really clean underneath here, really impressed. The fuel tank is slightly different, the way it mounts there with that pipe, and the tank straps are slightly different, but you can see there the rear axle really, really clean, and you can see there like the way we've coated it, really, really nice. Really clean. For the future, let's give you a slightly closer look up here. You can see just about all real nice job, nice and clean. Come back under here. A nice job, rear beam there, look. And then onto that side. Again, I've done that side as well. I left the colours on the springs just in case I need them for future reference. But a really nice, easy job. Definitely recommend doing it. Let's go around this side. Yeah, see, look, I've cleaned the face of that off so it's nice and clean. Put a bit of grease on. And then just painted it all black, and it looks so, so good. Next job is the headlights. Now, again, I have already started, of course, because I want to do a 50-50. So that is one that's already done. And then this one is what the other one looked like before, which if you own a TT, you know, that's that typical sort of hazy goodness. And the process for that is exactly the same as I did on my last video, so I won't show you that. I just wanted to show you sort of a 50-50 of how clean it is. There's a few marks on it, but it has done 113,000 miles, so nothing's perfect. But besides that, the car is actually very, very clean. I'm going to we'll whip the front wheels off and I'll just show you underneath the front. But the actual headlight process, really, really easy. Done a video on it using an auto glim kit. However, I did use this stuff, which Carl Chris recommended, very, very good. And it's like a, was it restored headlight clear coat? So it's like a clear coat, but it has some better properties, a little bit harder for making sure that you don't get stone chips. It can dry a little bit cloudy, but if you leave it for a bit of time, it goes back to a normal, nice finish. You may need to flat it down with a bit of 3000 and just go over it once more after you've done a couple of coats. That's what I had to do, but I think it's because it's like 4 degrees in here, so not ideal, but a nice clear headlight compared to this absolutely disgusting one. So really, really good. Right, let me whip the front wheels off. We'll have a quick look at the subframe. I'll show you what a Roadster subframe looks like, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so under a Roadster, now normally you'd have a prop there which met with the exhaust. This has a single cat, not a double cat, which is again what a 225 would have. On the Roadster subframe, you can see here they've got those braces that go diagonally across, and also it has a second brace which is a bit more sturdy in the middle where the exhaust is. Now that's not normally on any other model other than a Roadster, but actually a very, very clean car underneath. Some surface there, but nothing like I've seen on some of the other ones that I've had. So this is in a really nice condition. I am going to clean all along the sills and the chassis, see over there, the jacking point, and all the way along underneath where the ramp sits at the moment. I'm going to clean it all under there and give it a clear cavity wax, a clear Lano clear all over, and then I'm going to do black on all of the arms. I just need to scuff that light rust off, but I thought I'd show you, give you an idea of what it looks like underneath here. Very, very clean car. I mean, it's only done, I think it's 113,000 miles, which isn't excessive, but it's obviously quite a lot for, it's still a 19-year-old car, so expectively going to be reasonably scubby, but this, I reckon this has spent quite a lot of time in a garage. The roof is quite nice, and I think the next job on this is under the engine bay. We'll do a check on all the pipe work because it's got a little hesitation, so it's either the MAF or it's got a small air leak, and I want to waterproof that roof again because it's definitely not waterproof. If you leave it sat for a few days, the water soaks into it, and then the condensation, when it gets really cold, then makes it wet underneath with them, which makes it wet inside the car. Carpets are completely dry. There's definitely no leaks, but it's just where it's really cold and it gets condensated. So if I can make it waterproof, at least when the wind blows, all the rain will wash off of the roof and it won't penetrate as much, and it will make it look a little bit cleaner. But besides that, really, really good car. Looking forward to getting it mapped, but we need to do the basics first. Never ever take it just straight for a map without getting it checked first, because at the end of the day, you'll take it for a map and they'll either map it and then you'll have problems, or they won't map it and they'll say, oh, you need to do this, this and this. So always worth checking. Hope you've enjoyed that look around and a bit of undersealing and a headlight sort out, but it's really starting to come together. I know it's the winter, not the summer, which it's what it is, but we'll get it sorted. I'm still going to drive it, still going to get it mapped. Just can't have the roof down as much, and if I do, it'll be with the heating on, the heated seats on. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.